Hello and welcome to the best day of your life so far. I'm Christopher, and over the next half hour, I'm going to be sharing with you exactly how to transform your life beyond recognition in just 90 days. How to lose weight more easily and effortlessly, to alter your relationship with food, with yourself. So you come from a place where you wake up in the morning, you look at yourself and say, oh yes, I get to be me today. How cool is that? To get you to that place where you're no longer playing from the sidelines, when at every moment you feel absolute gratitude and amazement at the brilliance that is you and your life. Yes, this is about losing weight. It's about improving your body. It's about being able to walk into any clothes shop and pick clothes just because you like them, or walking out onto a beach in the public and feeling beautiful. It's about changing all that good stuff, but it's also about something far deeper. It's about something far more real. It's about you at every area, how you interact with life and the world around you, because there comes a point in time for some people when they can't pretend everything is all right anymore. And it's not everyone that gets there, but for some people, they get to a moment in their lives when they realize they've just come so far off the path and they've been going down this bad path for so long that to just fix one thing or change one area to lose weight or stop overeating would be nothing more than a band-aid, a temporary distraction from what's really going on underneath. And it's not easy when you come to that point to step up, to pay the price required to change everything. In fact, it can be one of the scariest things you can do to honestly look at your life and let yourself feel the years of built-up pain and frustration. To admit to yourself there's something missing. There's a hole inside of me, a hole I can't even define. Something is missing from life. And when there's that kind of feeling, that pain of not being what you know you were born to be, that level of self-guilt that can weigh you down over the years of trying to avoid it, that feeling, when you get to that point, well, there's only really two choices. Deal with it or don't. Get up and fight or lay down and die. And it can be really upsetting to know just how many people choose to lay down and die. It's not a matter of judgment, it's just a shame. The thing is, you can understand why somebody would struggle to get back up again. When you've been knocked down time and time again, it's hard to keep getting back up. And when you've been let down in the past, it's hard to trust again. All too often this battle takes place alone, in your head, by yourself, and no one else sees the effort and the pain involved in fighting with yourself on a daily basis. And from the outside, it looks weak or lazy. People don't understand, and it makes it a battle that you want to keep more and more private. And the more you seem to be losing this battle, the less you want to talk about it or look at it. And it's just easier to keep pretending it's not happening until boom! One day, right in your face, the consequences of reality just appear. And I don't know how that will happen for you, but it will. And it might be like today when somebody like me tells you straight up, boom, that's how it is, and you make a decision inside of yourself in that moment. I'm going to change everything around. I'm going to do whatever it takes to get off this old path and move on to the new way. And I really hope that's you today. However, unfortunately, the fact of the matter is 95% of people will do nothing with the information given today. Despite the fact that if you took everything I say, put it all into practice in just 90 days, your entire life will be changed permanently in every area. 95% of you won't take action. That's how big a problem this is. I'm here today giving you all the tools you need for free, and most of you won't even take action when I tell you. You might be there now saying in your head, that won't be me, I'm going to do everything he says in 90 days, I'll be happy and more fulfilled than I've ever been. And now, I'm talking to you. You won't do it. 95% guaranteed. I mean, prove me wrong. Maybe you're one of the few people that bothered to get a pen and paper and take notes. Maybe you found a quiet place with no distractions to listen to this and thus can give it your full attention. And perhaps you're already taking full responsibility for you and all the results you get here today now. Or maybe you should go and do those things now. Now, while you get pen and paper, turn off the phone, TV, etc., and make sure the dog and the kids aren't going to disturb you for the next half hour, I'm going to take a moment to explain to you who I am and what my role is here. I'm the boom before the boom. I'm the wake-up call so that your boom isn't diabetes, or your boom isn't on the operating table or at the undertaker's. I'm the boom before the boom. It's time to wake the fuck up, and I'm the alarm clock. Tick, tick, tock. Now, I don't care whether you like me or not. I'm not here to be your friend, or maybe I'm here to be the best friend you've ever had, because I'm here to get you results. And sometimes that means me being really fucking harsh, really cutting, and really straight to the point. And some of you might not like me already. Some of you might think I swear too much, talk too fast, am too loud. Some of you might think that I bring a level of conflict and confrontation to your front door that you just don't want in your life. And if that's you, bye-bye. Go away. Seriously, turn off the webinar. You don't want what I have to offer. Go and have a cake, watch TV. That's probably what you want to do anyway, and don't let me get in the way. But for some of you, that's not okay. See, some of you aren't willing to stay where you are any longer. Some of you have already decided in your head, no. Enough is enough. Time to step up and take action. Some of you have already realized in your head how far off the path you've come and are ready to pay the price for all the years of neglect that you put upon your body. And when you're ready to take that level of commitment to yourself, then I want you to take a step up. See, I have one really simple action you have to be willing to do in order to get results if you're going to work with me. This is what you have to be prepared to do. It's a prerequisite for all of my clients. And if you're really, really serious about changing things in your life, you have to be prepared to do this one thing. So write this down. You should have a pen and paper. To work with me, to get results, to live the life you deserve and dream of, to have everything you could ever imagine, you have to be prepared to do whatever the fuck it takes. Whatever the fuck it takes. That's the move. Whatever the fuck it takes. And if you don't think you can handle it, if you're not prepared to commit at that level, then you might as well go home. But if you think you are prepared to commit, if you really do think you're willing to do whatever the fuck it takes, then I want you to be certain. Be 100% sure, because I'm gonna hold you to it. So I'll let you take a moment right now to do that. And then you can either just turn off this webinar and good luck, or you can make that commitment to yourself now. Continue onwards and remember your promise, whatever the fuck it takes, because this is where we're going to step it up. Now, I know we've had a fast-paced and hopefully high-impact start to this webinar, and that's because it's so important for you to really realise what's on the line when we're talking about a subject like this, and to commit to yourself fully that you're going to do whatever it takes to get the results. See, for the last few years, I've been working with literally thousands of people to help them lose weight and transform their lives. And over the last 2 years alone, over 20,000 people have bought our home hypnosis weight loss system. And with that number of people going through our program, I've been in a uniquely privileged position to be able to see exactly what the real root cause of the problem is and precisely what makes that vital difference in finally making a permanent change. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you 3 keys to weight loss success that you've probably never even considered before. And you can see from just a handful of the comments that we've had from people putting these very principles into practice at home, just how powerful these techniques can be. All of these testimonies you see right now are from users of our home study weight loss programs. I'm a comfort eater and I don't actually like feeling full anyway. I found changing the way I think about things have helped turn my life around, and Tom and Christopher have shown me the way to do this. The next one is from a Facebook post, just so you get an idea of why it's written this way. A Facebook update from last week from one of our clients. I've just managed to throw away the chips my little one left on his dinner plate. Bloody miracle. Oh, and I'm about 5 pounds down since Sunday. I started it 2 weeks ago and I love it. That was from Adele. And just to show that not everyone comes into these programs with an absolute belief that this is right for them and that this can work for you, as you'll see from this one, just putting in the action is enough. I want to report in and just see what other people have experienced. I listened to the Spirit Guide track for the first time today, and firstly, let me say, hypnotherapy and spirit guides, etc. would be poppycock in my vocabulary. Wow is all I can say. Firstly, I'm amazed that I could be hypnotized, and secondly, I had such a great experience with the spirit guide that I feel almost giddy and silly, half thinking, did I make it up? Her name was so vivid, and the conversation was as if I was sat just on my couch with a very close friend, putting the worlds to right. Questions asked and answered. Result in my waking with tears of what I can only describe as relief rolling down my face. This encounter has left me feeling unnerved, almost unhinged, but in a positive way. Love food, love cooking, but just over 12 months on, I am 2 stone lighter. Still cooking, but eating less. It does work if you're prepared to listen and put in the effort. Enjoy the journey. See, this is a very common thing that we hear from some of our people. I've been listening to the tracks for a few months now, not the op one yet, that's from our gastric band program. I'm finding myself changing the way I shop, buying fresh vegetables instead of frozen, fresh meat instead of frozen, less additives. Don't buy junk food, crisps and chocolates. If it's not here, I won't get tempted. Even if cut out pop altogether. And wink and a smiley face and a kiss there too. And then the last one. Thanks, Christopher. Not listened in a while. I listened and something really clicked. Not eating anything I shouldn't have not even thought about food all day. I have to remind myself to eat. Never thought that I'd have to say that in a million years. I'm in the process of getting rid of all my negatives in my life. Unfortunately, this includes the husband, but I'm so excited for the future and I've never felt better. First time I know I can go all the way and do it. Thank you so much, Christopher, for giving me the biggest kick up the bum I needed. And sometimes that's what you do need. A good kick up the backside, a wake-up call, a boom. And sometimes you need a hand to hold, a shoulder to cry on, and someone to tell you it's going to be okay. You're going perfectly and you're on the right path to success. And I know this from personal experience. Let me tell you a story. Now, you might look at me and think, here's a guy who's always been thin. And for most of my life, that's been true. In fact, up to a few years ago, I would have told you that I couldn't put on weight even if I tried. Until one day, I decided that I was determined to change. Determined to change my body, and I spent 6 months on a super high protein diet, eating 8 to 10 meals a day, exercising, lifting heavy weights often my trainers would allow me. I became so fed up with having that same old ugly body that I'd always hated that I threw myself 110% into changing. And to be honest with you, it was probably the first time in my life that I'd actually made a proper effort, stuck to my diet and workout routines, and lo and behold, 6 months later, I put on 20 kilos of muscle. I was bigger and stronger than I'd ever been, and I couldn't believe it. I thought I couldn't change my body. I thought I was always one way for life, and to actually see it firsthand was just incredible. I mean, I don't know if you ever had the experience like me of being so determined not to look the way that you look, that you had such drive and determination to change, and then when you got there, when your body was no longer the way you disliked, when you'd achieved your goals, not only was the motivation to change no longer there, that fierce drive and determination that pushed you to take action was gone. And moreover, after 6 months of eating and working out the right way every day, I was tired. I'd given it my all and I'd won. I deserved a break, and so I took one. I skipped out of the gym for a couple of days, which became a week and then a month, and soon enough I was a stranger to exercise. However, I had got into the habit of eating 8 to 10 times a day, and while the frequency of the feeding didn't change, the content certainly did. Sweets, sugars, carbs, and all sorts of junk food started creeping into my diet. And I don't mean an ice cream on a Saturday evening after dinner with friends. I mean lying in bed, watching TV, consuming entire multi-bags of crisps or chips for the Americans, devouring whole cheesecakes at 3 a.m. washed down by a litre of Coke or 7. I mean, seriously bad eating. And the more I ate, the less I exercised, the more I drank or smoked. And this was just a pattern of life for me. It became a joke. The joke, around my friends and family, which I suppose after years of being the skinny guy, people revelled in the opportunity to poke my belly or call me fatty. At first, it didn't even feel like they were talking about me because I'd never been fat in my head. Do you know what that's like to have a image of yourself in your head that isn't real anymore, doesn't map to reality? See, yes, when we went to Vegas, 5 of them chipped in for me to have an all-you-can-eat pass at a hotel to save money in Vegas, right? That should have been a wake-up call, right? For me, it was actually just, me being me. Typical, with a smile and a laugh, and it's not so bad actually until you can kind of live with it. And boom, one day I woke up fat, just like that. Boom, fat overnight. I went from skinny and woke up fat. No warnings, no nothing. Okay, fine. That's not what happened. That's not what's happened to anyone ever. There'd been lots of warning signs, lots and lots of them on a daily basis for nearly 6 whole months. Everyone else had noticed it. They'd all seen the decline, the poor eating habits, the increased lack of activity, but somehow I'd almost kind of missed it. My girlfriend at the time told me a year or so later that I'd literally been getting bigger and bigger every time she saw me, and she didn't know when or where it would stop. Do note, she didn't tell me while it was happening, just afterwards, after I'd sorted it in a sort of, I'm glad you lost the weight, I was getting really worried about you sort of way. The thing is, she probably did tell me at the time. She probably told me a lot, and so did other people. However, I wasn't listening. I just wasn't willing to face reality. I wasn't, as one of my friends so delicately put it while I lamented about how I could have let myself go this far, I wasn't body conscious. I didn't even know what body conscious really meant, but over the next 4 months I became determined to change, not in a radical way like I had when I tried to gain weight, but in a way that was sustainable for life, in a way that would give me a healthy and vibrant lifestyle that would make me happy and proud in myself and my body. And in less than 90 days, I'd done it. I was slimmer, fitter, healthier, and happier than ever before. And it was by putting these simple 3 principles into practice that changed everything. Now, before we get into the 3 keys, I just want to touch on a few points about guilt. You see, guilt holds a lot of people back, and a lot of people blame themselves and berate themselves for their behavior. Some ideas might arise like it's your fault because you've been automatically eating, almost on autopilot. My response to that is good. If you've been doing it consciously, then maybe that'd be a problem, but you don't even know what it's like to eat consciously. You've so much to appreciate about foods in ways you can't even imagine yet. And really, you should get excited because now is time for you to be conscious and to become aware of so much wonder and so much beauty that you never even really realized existed before. The second point that people come up with is the idea that they have been lazy. And I don't know whether that resonates with you, the idea that you've been lazy in your weight gain or lack of weight loss. The truth is that you haven't been lazy. Mostly you've been getting beaten in submission by the pain and the enormity of the challenge ahead of you. Most of the so-called laziness is energy tied up internally battling yourself and not knowing exactly what to do to make things different. It's more overwhelmed than laziness, and I'm here to simplify it for you. The third thing is that people often feel guilty or remorseful for is that they constantly harm their body and themselves. Yes, that's probably something you're going to have to face up to and apologize for. And this has been because you've never been shown how to be body conscious. You've been doing this not out of spite, but as a means of protection to help you avoid emotions and stresses and situations you didn't have the resources to handle at the time. And it's important to realize that you are always doing the best you can with the resources you had available. And then the last thing, other than, I suppose, a big one where people feel they're a bad influence or bad example to family, friends and their kids, etc. The last one really is that people feel they've let themselves down. They've almost given up and settled. And here's the thing. You get a second chance at every moment to get back up and to fight. It's not about judgment, it's about love and acceptance, taking this opportunity to make things better. This brings us to the first key for success. The 3 keys to success, and we call them keys to success because that's exactly how they work. These 3 keys will unlock the secrets to success in every area of your life. It's so simple yet so effective. Life is easy. You have a habit of making it difficult. But these 3 keys will unlock its simplicity. And all you have to do is to put it into practice. So, let's have a look at the first key to simplicity. Now, the first key is the key of acceptance. Learning to accept things the way they are. See, you can't change the present moment. The way things are the way things are. Being honest about it and accepting it enables you to take action. Having a head in the sand attitude about things doesn't help, and pretending they're not so bad or just wishing they would change or ignoring them does nothing except make things worse. You never have the option of staying the same. Every action you take, every thought you think, every word you say takes you either towards or away from your goals. Things are either getting better or getting worse with respect to what you say you want, but they're never staying the same. When we begin, the very first thing to do is to accept where we are, how things are. There's a great expression, it is what it is. And the understanding of that encapsulates the truth behind acceptance. You see, acceptance is a form of love. If you love something, truly love something, you won't want it to be different. You won't need it to be different. Resistance, negativity only come from when you want things to be different from how they are now and you're not willing to accept reality. Now, it's important to understand the difference between accepting things as they are and not having a desire or wish for things to change. In this moment, whatever is, is. There's nothing you can do to change it. It's already happened. Now, You can either reject and resist it. You can spend this moment trying to ignore this moment, wishing, pretending it was different, sedating or distracting yourself with food, TV, shopping, drugs, or whatever your personal preference is, and you basically wasted this moment. And here's the thing, you waste enough of these moments, you've wasted your entire life. Because that's what life is, a series of moments, and you've got to seize yours. So how do you do that? Well, the first thing you can do, the first thing you don't do, is you don't ignore the moment. If you're ever going to seize the moment, then first and foremost, you have to accept it. Whatever it may be, the good, the bad, the ugly, it doesn't matter. You need to accept it just as it is before you can start deciding on your next course of action. And acceptance can range over so many areas too. We're not just talking about weight loss here. We're talking about everything. Your relationships with your friends, your families, even the country, the house you live in, the job that you do, the shape you're in, how much you drink, smoke, literally every area of your life and your life situation. Part of learning acceptance is learning to let go of the need to blame something or someone. See, it doesn't matter why or how you ended up where you are. Blaming yourself or others isn't going to change it. Now, this doesn't mean that you don't have to take personal responsibility for your actions and your results. Let's say, for example, you've been regularly eating junk food now and not exercising for the last 2 years, and as a result, you become overweight. Now, you can sit there and you can blame yourself, you can beat yourself up about it, but what would that actually achieve? Would you lose any weight by blaming yourself? Would you feel any more empowered and positive about your ability to turn things around? Probably not. But let's say instead that you don't blame yourself. Instead, you accept the situation as it is. And you can realize that the choices, actions, behaviors that you took contributed to your current situation. And from an objective place, without judgment, you can decide what actions you want to take from here. You can make the future better. You just can't change the past or the present. It's already happened. Blame, guilt, wishing it were different are all ways of just using up your internal resources and energies unnecessarily. See, acceptance comes from love. Acceptance of what things are as they are is the greatest demonstration of love you can show. When it comes down to it, all our problems boil down to a lack of self-love, a lack of self-acceptance. If you buy a new car, you put the right petrol or gas in it, right? You take it for regular tune-ups and wash and valet it often because you love it. Do you do the same thing for your body? Or do you fuel it up with crap food and neglect to exercise it? The biggest step in creating a transformational change is acceptance, coming from love. It's not a new message, but it's one that's overlooked. It's been said before. Love yourself and then watch. Loving yourself, accepting yourself as you are, is the first step. So step 1 is acceptance. And a very easy way to get yourself into a bit of a habit of this, to change that mindset that you have of rejection, resistance into acceptance, is to write a gratitude list each night. 10 things you're grateful for. You'll be amazed at how many things there are to be grateful for, how many wonderful things there are for you to be grateful for. And this task alone will help to start to change your mental focus from all the things you wish were different, all the thinking about what you don't want in your life, to focusing on the good things that you already have, and that you like and that you are already grateful for in your life. Maybe start, as Michael Jackson recommends, with the man or woman in the mirror. Start listing regularly all the things you like and love and are grateful for about yourself. Acceptance is not just of your life situation, but most importantly, the acceptance of yourself. Start to accept yourself as you are. Start loving who you are because you're worth it. Whatever you have to do to make sure, do it. Remember, whatever the fuck it takes. If you have to draw a big L'Oreal sign on top of your mirror to remind you to do it because you're worth it, then do it. Put a reminder every hour on your iPhone. Hire a coach. Do whatever it takes to do it. Remember, you have to take action. So that's the first key, acceptance. That's really important, but it probably won't mean much to you until we put it in context with the second key. And the second key really is the crux of everything. The second key is awareness. Now, what do we mean by awareness? Well, awareness is being conscious of things, seeing what's really going on. You see, most people walk around most of their lives on autopilot. The key of awareness is simply bringing the process off of autopilot and onto manual. Let me give you an example. Let's say, now, I'm not saying you do things like this, but some people might do things like this. Let's say it's evening or middle of the night and you walk downstairs, open the fridge, take out a cake or chocolate or whatever, sit down on the sofa and watch TV and eat the whole thing. That whole process happened on autopilot. There was no awareness of what was really going on, no acknowledgement of why you got up and went and did what you did. And let's be honest, you know that's not good behavior, and not in a judgmental way, but simply in terms of, is the behavior serving you with respect to what you say you really want? And if you say you really want to lose weight, then eating junk food isn't good behavior. It's going to take you away from where you want to be. Remember, everything either takes you towards or away from where you want to be. And why would you ever do something that takes you away from where you want to be? Well, because you're not paying attention. And what's more, you're not paying attention on purpose. This behavior isn't accidental. There's a reason for it. The reason is benefiting you in some way. And are you aware what that is? In this example, the eating the cake is serving you in some way. Perhaps there's some feeling you don't want to feel and the cake's distracting you from it. When you become aware of this at the point of action, this awareness gives you choice. And that's what this all comes down to, really, what it's all about. Having the choice. That's where your freedom is. And if you don't know that it's happening, you can't do anything to change it. You can only change what you're aware of. I wonder if you follow. This is why the first key comes first. Let's say there's an emotion that you feel and you don't want to, and that's why you sedate yourself with cake. Now, if you don't accept things first, you won't be willing to feel that emotion. Having something you don't want to do or feel or be is resistance. You're trying to make the world the way you want it to be rather than accepting it the way it is. If you become aware of a situation without accepting it, there's no room for you to make a change. You'll continue resisting it. That's why it's love yourself, then watch. Not the other way around. The key, again, it comes back to loving yourself. Coming to awareness is a process that should be done gently. Now, by gently, I don't mean letting yourself off the hook. I mean coming from a place of curiosity and not judgment. Being interested or curious about yourself is very different from looking out for what's wrong or bad. Essentially, this is what all of our programs are about. Self-awareness, self-love, and self-understanding. Now, when we talk about awareness, there are lots of ways to increase your awareness around what's happening with your weight and the food you eat. You could start a food journal or weigh yourself, set yourself goals and measure your performance. There are many different areas you could look at with regards to weight loss. You could become more aware of your food, for example, not only with what you eat. This is where food diaries or nutrition plans are helpful, for example, because it helps bring to your awareness what you're really putting in your body. Boom, right there in front of you, no lying to yourself, no hiding away. It's like broke people. The last thing they ever want to do is to check their bank accounts. See, you need to accept where you are and shine the light of awareness onto it. Seeing honestly what's happening, and there's a lot to see. With food, you could start to become aware more than just of the flavors, of the experience of the food by taking time to chew it and savor it rather than just guzzling it down. To be aware of what effect it has on you and your body when you eat it. Next to your food diary, for example, you could write down how much energy you have an hour after eating, because that's the point of food, isn't it? As fuel. And if it's not giving you energy, then what purpose does eating it serve? When you notice foods that don't benefit you, that make you feel lethargic or tired or even hungry or craving, then those foods, when you think about whether to eat them or not, you can be aware of it in that moment. And the thing is, once you're aware of it, you're aware of it. It's not likely that you'll forget. I don't imagine that you don't remember that sugar is bad for you. And there's nobody out there that's confused about this. It's like smoking. Everyone knows smoking is bad. When people light a cigarette, they know it's harmful, yet they still do it. Why? Or in fact, how? By ignoring that knowledge or by turning a blind eye to that awareness. Now, if there's something that you know is bad for you and you still do the behavior, the question now becomes why? This is where your attention should now turn. See, in that moment when it's happening, ask yourself, allow yourself to be honest. Remember, step one, acceptance. Be okay with whatever it is. We're not here necessarily to change anything, just to see what's going on, certainly at this stage. It's simple curiosity, out of love, and it's happening there, in the moment. As you're about to eat that cake or whatever, you're aware that this is bad for you. Eating cake is going to make you fat. You know this. So why are you choosing to eat the cake anyway? Just be honest, whatever it is. And here's the hard part. Remembering the first key. Truly being and embodying that first key. Acceptance. You're probably eating the cake to stop you looking at it in the first place. You probably don't want to look at what you don't want to look at. And this is where a level of maturity comes in. An ability to allow yourself to feel what you've not wanted to feel, to process what you've been holding in or holding back for so long. And I'll tell you, every single time, it's going to come down to some fear or pain. And once you accept that you have that fear, that pain, you can choose to keep doing what you're doing, what you've always done, and not feel it and ignore it. Or you may decide that the cost of not feeling that emotion has far outweighed any potential gain, any potential pain or fear you may have. Maybe you choose instead to feel that pain, and you might just find emotions change as they're felt, just like food in the mouth. However, it's the battle to avoid certain feelings that creates the problem. This is why we spend a lot of time on our course and our coaching programs helping people to process emotions. And I don't mean some Tony Robbins style life-altering breakthrough in the actual event itself, though that does happen. I'm talking about giving people the resources to be able to support themselves, to be able to parent themselves through critical moments like this, because these little moments of decisions are where the whole battle is won or lost. Whether you decide to go to the gym or stay at home, take the car or jog, have a biscuit or not. And in each situation, you know what to do to get the result you want, yet you're not doing it. Why? Because you want to avoid feeling a certain way because of a little feeling. Beaten by a feeling, your entire life wasted hiding from a feeling, and all because you won't accept it and allow yourself to be fully aware of it. Yet sometimes you might feel a moment of sadness. Yes, sometimes you might feel a moment of grief. That's okay, you can take it. You're big enough. Or maybe you need someone else to help you. But it's very simple either way. Acceptance and then awareness in all things. Awareness can mean getting more knowledge. It can mean watching yourself more carefully, watching your and other people's results. Learning about nutrition increases your awareness, for example, as does making a list of all the things you love about your body or yourself. So does writing a journal, having an accountability buddy, or regular coaching. The entire idea is to shed as much light on what's happening as possible. These are not small tasks. They require serious maturity, and this is one of the biggest reasons most people don't do it. The last step requires the most maturity of all, and it's the one that makes all the difference. Now, the third key is discipline, and in many ways, this is both the hardest and easiest key to get. At the start, it's difficult, and then it becomes natural. And here's the simple fact of the matter: you won't get anywhere without discipline. In fact, if you were disciplined enough, you wouldn't be here in the first place. But that's why it's the third key. If it were that simple, we'd just have one key: discipline. However, we don't. We have three: acceptance, awareness, and discipline. Because only once you accept things as they are and become aware of a situation you wish to change, then and only then can you apply discipline to creating your new results. And here's why discipline is important. Because anything worth getting and achieving isn't going to happen overnight. Success is a few simple behaviors repeated daily. And what's failure? A few simple behaviors repeated daily. The difference between them is discipline. To take one road instead of the other consistently. It's not just about making the right choice, it's about making the right choice all the time. So how are you going to ensure that you have the discipline to do what's needed? How are you going to make sure that you do all the things you don't want to do? Because it's the things you don't want to do that are going to make the difference. You see, here's the thing about how we work. I understand it's not easy to do all the things that you don't want to do. I get it. You don't want to do them. And here's generally my response to that: fuck off. It's just not an acceptable excuse for not doing something that's going to help you towards your goal. You've already committed to doing whatever the fuck it takes. So at this point, I don't feel like it or I don't wanna, just don't cut it. It's not that I'm a hard ass or a dick or anything like that. It's simply because your results don't give a shit about how you felt or whether you wanted to go to the gym every day or not. The only thing that makes a difference to your results is your action. Remember who I am. I'm the boom before the boom. You are going to get results. Now, either they're going to be great or they're going to be horrible. In fact, you're already getting results every single second of every day, with every moment of inactivity, every mouthful of bad food, every negative thought, or every moment of neglect. You're creating your results right now. Not tomorrow, right now. What you did yesterday, this morning, this evening, every single action you take is important, and excuses just don't cut it. You have to do the things you don't want to do if you want to get the results you don't already have. And you'll have to do them regularly. So how are you going to install the discipline to ensure you stay on target? Now, a good tip here is to take things one step at a time. Push yourself bit by bit. Start walking each day and then jogging and then running. Exercise for 10 minutes before you kill yourself working out for 8 hours. Learn to build things up, which is why discipline is the third key. See, it's used in the context of the first two keys of acceptance and awareness. Realizing where you are and what you can do allows you to improve step by step. Ideally, you always want to push yourself out of your comfort zone, stretching yourself to be better each day. And in my private coaching, we give you stretch goals each day to push you out of your comfort zone day by day for 90 days. Can you imagine how different your life would be if you pushed yourself to improve just a little bit each day for 90 days? That's all you have to do. Push yourself a little bit more each day. Follow these 3 simple keys to success: acceptance, awareness, and discipline, in that order. Now, in a short webinar like this, I can't really go through all the ways to apply these keys, but let me give you an example. One area that you could and should apply these keys to are your eating habits. When you eat food, how conscious are you of the process? When you eat, do you eat at a table or in front of the TV? When you're eating, do you give your food your full attention? So here are the guidelines for eating under the 3 keys. Rule number 1, do nothing else. This means turn off the TV, radios, phones, books, laptops, stop the dog from jumping up, whatever you need. The key being practiced here is awareness. Obvious, right? It's all about bringing the process into awareness, off of autopilot. And if you're thinking this isn't what most people do, firstly, that's their fault. Secondly, remember the first key, acceptance. If this is an area you're not doing well in, then you need to pay attention to it. And you can only do that by focusing and minimizing distractions, which is why the first key is so important. Accepting where you are allows you to accept the actions you need to take from where you are. Rule number 2. Act as if the most important person in the world is eating this meal. How would you prepare your meal if the most important person in the world were eating it? What would you serve? Microwave meals and McDonald's? Probably not. You'd probably put a little bit more effort into it. Something more nutritional and tasty, perhaps. What about the ambience, the lighting, the music, the table layout, the cutlery? Would you put flowers on the table if the most important person in the world were eating this meal? But you see, the most important person in the world is eating this meal. The most important person in your world, you. And really, we're practicing a part of acceptance here, love and gratitude. You see, there are places that specialize in giving you an experience of what it's like to be served for dinner as if you were the most important person in the world, where every area of your dining experience is considered. They're called restaurants. And if you go to a really good one, they'll show you exactly how to serve as if you were the most important person in the world. But I'm sure you know exactly what I mean already. So rule number 2 is act as if the most important person in the world is eating this meal. And rule number 3, put your knife and fork down between mouthfuls. You don't need them in your hand while you're chewing, and they're only more likely to be used to put more food in your mouth before you've finished that mouthful. This really comes back to the first rule here, the principle of doing nothing else. This is a process of becoming more aware, focusing your attention on what's important. Which brings us nicely to rule number 4. Chew your food properly. This means 20 to 40 times every mouthful, chewing 20 to 40 times. That's a lot, and it stems partly from the awareness key. For example, did you know that the digestive process begins in the mouth? The saliva contains enzymes to break down your food before going into your stomach, and therefore food is digested or partly digested before it goes through to your stomach. It's an important part of releasing nutrients and digesting your food. And when it comes to awareness, did you even know that your food changes taste in the mouth as you eat it? The longer you chew your food, the more different the taste becomes. The key here again is awareness. And that brings us to the last rule. Rule number 5. Don't drink water during or after your meal. In fact, don't drink any liquids during or after your meal. Partly, this is rule number 1. Don't do anything else, but it also comes from something more important. It's also because when you drink water or liquids, you wash down your foods undigested, which is even more challenging on your digestive system if you haven't been chewing your food properly. The point here is that you don't want to allow your food to be washed down undigested. You want to chew it and digest it properly. It enables your body to make the very most of the food that you're putting into it, get all the nutrients, and to excrete the waste in the most efficient manner possible. Now, if you're thirsty, because some people say, I need to drink while I eat because I'm thirsty, or if you're thirsty while you're eating, this means you're dehydrated generally. You should be drinking more water throughout the whole day. In fact, you should be drinking at least 1 big bottle of water every day, if not more, which is far more than most people do. In fact, rule number 5B, drink more water through the day. So here you've got your 5 guidelines for eating. Rule number 1, do nothing else. Do nothing else when you eat. Rule number 2, act as if the most important person in the world is eating this meal. Rule number 3, put your knife and fork down between mouthfuls. You don't need them to eat, it's only likely to put more food in your mouth more quickly. Rule number 4, chew your food properly. This means 20 to 40 times. Chew your food properly, allow it to be digested in your mouth and then your stomach. And then rule number 5, don't drink any water or liquids during or after you eat. Of course, rule number 5B, drink plenty of water throughout the day so you're not dehydrated. These are your 5 rules, and if you stick to these 5 rules alone, this will dramatically change your relationship with food and have a huge impact on your weight and your general body fitness. Now, add in the 3 keys. The 3 keys of success: acceptance, accepting where you are, what already is; awareness, having awareness of what is happening and what you are doing and why you are doing it; and third, discipline. Using discipline to create the change, putting the actions into effect that you know will create the results you want. If you do the first points right, by the way, the acceptance and awareness, discipline will just fall into place. One of the easiest ways to see how important the 3 keys are is by looking at how and where you failed to use them and you've got poor results. Where have you lacked acceptance or love and resisted or disliked where you are or who you are? What areas have you resisted in your life or in yourself? How often have you allowed yourself to have an ostrich in the sand mentality, ignoring things or turning a blind eye to what the real problem is? Where have you shown a lack of discipline over the last 3 months? And I just want you to take a moment right now, as we come to the end of this, and have a look back over the last 3 months in your mind's eye. Notice where you've been neglecting to follow these 3 keys. Where have you not practiced acceptance of what's happening, of where you are or who you are? Where have you not been fully aware? Where have you chosen to turn a blind eye? And where have you intentionally not looked out for what's really happening? Be that in yourself, in your body, in your business, in your life, in your relationships, in any area. Where have you lacked discipline? Where have you known what to do and you've just not done it? And that might be because one of the first two steps or one of the first two keys, or it might just be because you've chosen not to do it. And where in the last 3 months have you lacked acceptance, awareness, or discipline? Where would you have been if you started applying these keys in every area of your life 3 months ago? And where will you be in 3 months from now if you start doing it today? Not tomorrow, not this evening, but today, right here, now. Where would you be in just 90 days if you push yourself a little bit out of your comfort zone each and every day? If you follow the 3 keys of acceptance, awareness, and discipline, if you use the 5 rules for eating, where would you be in just 90 days? So what's stopping you? Remember the promise? Whatever the fuck it takes. So really, what is stopping you? Now, I know some people don't necessarily feel that that's quite enough yet, and some people might feel they need help, someone to work with them directly, show them exactly how to implement all of these keys, ensure they take the steps needed to get the results they deserve. And if that's what you need to do, then that's what you need to do. Now, if you do feel that you really want that kind of help going forward, then for those of you that are absolutely prepared to step it up and do whatever the fuck it takes to get results, then there's an opportunity for you to join one of our coaching programs. However, before you go click on the application form right away, I want you to be certain you're ready for this kind of commitment to yourself and this kind of investment in your future. We don't do halfway coaching and we don't take halfway clients. You either want to make a change and you're willing to do whatever it takes, whatever the fuck it takes to get results, and you're not going to let any bullshit excuses stand in your way, and in which case, I'm delighted to work with someone like you. This program is for you. Or alternatively, you're not, and you're not prepared to make that kind of absolute commitment to yourself. And if that's the case, no judgment, but this really isn't for you. If you're the type of person that blames the world for your problems, don't apply. If you're not willing to take personal responsibility for your actions, your results, if you're not willing to challenge and change your beliefs, if you're not willing to jump out of your comfort zone, however fucking scary it may be, and if you're not willing to do whatever the fuck it takes to live fully, love deeply, and truly matter, then this isn't for you. I hope you've got a lot out of the webinar. I hope you put these keys into practice, and I hope that you take the guidelines that we showed you here and make a huge difference to yourself all by yourself. But if you're different from most people, if you really want to make a change, not just at a physical level, but mentally, emotionally, holistically, at every level, then click the button below, fill out the application form, and we'll arrange a time for us to have a one-on-one strategy session together to determine where you are, what you need right now, and whether we're a good fit for each other. So click the button below to apply, and we'll see you on the other side.